2 at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Scott Hargrove, Daniel Morad leading through turn number 1 in our GT category. GTA Martin Fuentes right now over Rodrigo Baptista. Spencer Pompelli had an incident yesterday. Alvaro Parent in his Bentley had an incident yesterday as well. It looks like Yuki Hirata on the exit of turn number 3 in his Dream Racing Lamborghini up against the wall. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to be great. Just want to welcome everybody that's been watching live at world-challenge.com and the fans here at St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm Jeff Lepper. Jeremy Shaw joining me here in the booth as we call race number 2 here for our GT and GTA category cars as we get the race underway. 50-minute all-out sprint race for our GT and GTA. And the way to tell, if you look at that Pirelli windshield banner, the black windshield banner for our GT cars, the silver windshield banner for our GTA cars. And Jeremy, we just were able to get that thing underway and try to get this race started. Barely made it through there.
Yeah, absolutely right, Jeff. So welcome everybody again this afternoon to more Pirelli World Challenge action. This is going to be a good day for Scott Hargrove at the moment. He's made the best of the start from the pole position. He won yesterday's race in that fast motorsports Porsche, and he leads again an exemplary start, and he's off and running at the front of the field. Meanwhile, a replay there on the big screens of Yuki Hirata, who's getting on the power a little bit too soon, coming through turn 3, looping that car around and catching the wall. But as of now, we're staying green. I think Hirata was able to get going again, so he's still on the green. In second place is the car that started on the second row. We've got Daniel Morad, also like Hargrove from Canada. Those two, no love lost between those two. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, later on as this race progresses.
Well, Martin Fuentes defending against the Bentley of Rodrigo Baptista from K-Pax Racing. Good battle scrap there for our overall lead in our GTA category. Yuki Hirata just crosses the start-finish straight, however, able to make it done. Up here atop the main grandstand on the front straight here, overlooking the start-finish line, is Jeremy and myself calling the race here for the Pirelli World Challenge live at world-challenge.com. Thanks for joining once again if you're just now tuning in. Got a little bit delayed there by the IndyCar podium that just got done taking place, so we appreciate the Verizon IndyCar Series opening up the show here for Pirelli World Challenge today on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah, and there were 3 cars involved in an incident yesterday, those being the number 3 Bentley of Rodrigo Baptista, the 00 Aston Martin of Spencer Pompelli, and number 19 Audi of Parker Chase. All those 3 cars repaired and back out for more action today. That is the good news. Rodrigo Baptista, that Flying Lizard K-Pax Racing Bentley. I spoke to Thomas Blam, one of the team principals there at K-Pax Flying Lizard. He said they had to take the big hammer to that car to repair a lot of front-end damage from yesterday. And Rodrigo has started off well in this race and running now just right behind Martin Fuentes for the battle for the GTA category, the non-professional drivers.
Yeah, it's an interesting sight when you go to that K-Pax team and they have these big sledgehammers and you see them smacking the front end of this Bentley. It's something you don't normally would see. You know? Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a big hammer and a Bentley just don't go together. They're over there making it happen. And what a great crew to have that car back underway. Alvaro Parent looks a little hesitant right now, probably just trying to make sure everything's okay. No practice time for these cars today. So after his incident yesterday, if you watched live at world-challenge.com, he had no time on that car today to make sure it's okay, make sure it still turns left, it still turns right, the brakes still work. He has to go through all of that here, and you see he's there in the back of the field right now trying to work his way up.
Meanwhile, out front it is Scott Hargrove, who's edging away at the front of the field at the moment. Advantage of almost 2 seconds over his fellow countryman Daniel Morad in the Mercedes, that De Vilbiss machine, the bright distinctive orange car. In third place is the Ferrari of Tony Vilander. He's moved past Daniel Karwitz on that first racing. That made a move at turn 10. So the pole sitter from yesterday, Tony Vilander from Finland in the R Ferry Motorsports Porsche. It's effectively a factory blessed car because Tony Vilander is a long-time factory driver for Ferrari, and he's now up into third place and putting the pressure on Daniel Morad for second.
Watching that 488 GT3 of Martin Fuentes, the Hublot Ferrari, doing a good job keeping ahead of Rodrigo Baptista. Spencer Pompelli, another one of those drivers in that racers group, Aston Martin Vantage V12, had an incident yesterday. He's still trying to make sure his car is still up to speed and okay, sitting back behind Rodrigo right now as they come on to this front stretch. The one to talk about, though, is Daniel Karwitz. unfortunately, was started on the outside of the pole position, dropped back to fourth, did not get a very good start whatsoever. He's going to try to see if he can work his way back up into that podium spot.
Yeah, well, he was a little bit chastened after yesterday, Jeff. I spoke to him this morning, and he was a little bit sheepish because if you were watching here yesterday, is that Callaway Corvette went steaming down the inside away from the start line down towards turn one. Realised when he got down there he was going way too fast, had to take to the escape road, did a quick U-turn and got back into the fray. Then had a very, very fast car and moved his way through the field. But today he was adamant he wasn't going to make that same mistake again. So a little bit cautious there at the start, lost one position into turn one, and then later on that lap lost another position to Tony Villander. But we know that Callaway Corvette is fast. Daniel Karlowitz drove it beautifully yesterday to come back through the field.
It is fast. Daniel Murad showed some speed a little bit earlier yesterday in that De Vilbiss Mercedes, leading a majority of the race and finally got overtaken by Scott Hargrove. Now he's under attack by Tony Villander. It looks like Tony's starting to close in a little bit, just a little bit off in that Mercedes, but spoke with Nick Short earlier and asked if he had a chance to announce his Sprint X driver for next week yet. And kind of winked at me and said that we'll have somebody, and we do have a German car, so we'll see if we can get a German driver in it. So that would be interesting to see who they might get. They haven't announced yet for the Vilbiss car, but we'll see if we can pull in one of those factory Mercedes drivers. And that's one of the stalwarts of Pirelli World Challenge, bring in these not only great marquees and great manufacturers into the series, but now we're bringing these world-class drivers. Porsche's providing drivers, Ferrari's providing drivers, Mercedes now. You got Daniel Karlowitz, who's been with this program for 9 years on the Callaway program. So different things coming in. You really get the stars and cars of the Pirelli World Challenge.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, isn't it? Certainly. I saw, Ryan Dalziel was in that garage earlier on this afternoon. Of course, he drove for that team last year. And Daniel Morad and Ryan Dalziel drove the Sprint X races together in that De Vilbiss Mercedes, and they won last time out. That was the last time, by the way, before Friday, that Daniel Morad drove that car. No testing at all over the winter. The last time he drove it was at Circuit of the Americas, which was, September last year, wasn't it? Until now. So 6 months not in the wheel of that car. To have such a strong run yesterday and again today for Daniel Morad in at number 2 bright orange De Vilbiss Mercedes is a pretty stout effort.
Well, and it still was his drive at Virginia International Raceway, staying in front of Patrick Long in that second race, ultimately giving the car over to Ryan Dalziel and winning his first Pirelli World Challenge race in their debut weekend. Really, I think, earned his position here in that race, as there's a replay of Alvaro Print getting around Parker Chase as Alvaro says, I think everything's okay with the car. Let's turn that wick up a little bit and start running down some cars and working our way through the field, try to salvage as many points as he can. Young Parker Chase stepping up to the GTA category from the GTS class, only 17 years old in this Audi, and really getting acclimated to the extra downforce. I talked with his dad, Eric Chase. They were excited. A 2-car team now, so they're hoping to debut the second car at Circuit of the Americas with the Sprint X program. But good job for him, Tyler Tadovic from True Speed operating that team, and just bringing all the pieces together for that young 17-year-old out here today.
Yeah, and even the possibility perhaps of running a second car, because you have 2 of those Audis that was purchased from Stevenson Motorsports, and there's a possibility of running a second car perhaps in the next sprint race at Long Beach, which is just a few miles from where that team is based in Southern California. A good run there for Tony Villander on the front straight, but not quite close enough to make the move on Daniel Morad. Morad closed the door at the last minute. That ensured that Villander had to run a little bit wide then. That does enable Daniel Karlowitz in that Callaway Corvette to move back up into 3rd place.
Yeah, but what a professional Villander right there. He knew he lost it. He could have fought and stayed alongside the Corvette. Better part of valor, like you say, Jeremy, just backed out of it, pulled back in behind, and try to see if he can put his head down and run him back down. What a superb move by Villander.
Yeah, and he did the same yesterday. I spoke to him again this morning. He was telling me, look, it's a long championship. You have to score points as best you can. We've got a fast car. It's particularly good in clean air. It's not so good when he's having to follow other cars, and it's not the fastest car on the straights here, nor under acceleration either, that Ferrari, compared particularly to the V8 cars around him. But he's just out here to score consistent points. That's what they want to get. This is his first race here on the streets of St. Pete, first race in the Pirelli World Challenge. So just get some points on the board, steady start to the season, and build from that platform.
Coming down the front stretch, Scott Hargrove in that Castrol Fast Automotive Porsche leads another lap. Daniel Murad, second place in the De Vilbiss Mercedes. Callaway Corvette, Daniel Karlowitz Tony Vilander and Michael Christensen in that NSYNC Allegra Motorsports Porsche. A local team based here in Florida, also a shop up in Canada. That's the car that won the 24 Hours of Daytona 2 years ago. And ironically enough, Michael Christensen, Daniel Murad behind the wheel of that Porsche to get that win, now competing against each other here. And we'll see Spencer Pompelli was part of that program. He'll be racing in Sprint X with the Allegra Motorsports team. So everybody's shuffling seats here coming up in the next round at Circuit of the Americas in just 2 short weeks.
Yeah, Spencer Pompelli driving the Aston Martin now. That's the unmistakable V12 engine that's singing along the main straightaway here at St. Petersburg. Sounds absolutely glorious, that car. Spencer Pompelli really unfortunate to be involved in that incident yesterday at turn 1, but the TRG team done a really good job to get that car back together again. And now he's trailing Rodrigo Baptista. That's the battle for 7th and 8th, number 3 Bentley, number 00 Aston Martin. 2 British manufacturers there with a storied history in the sport, and they're running well. Tell you who's running well, particularly well, Martin Fuentes in car number 07, the AM leader in 6th position overall, has just set the fastest lap of the race. Well, he did when I said it. Since then, the leaders have come across the line, and that mark has been improved. First of all by our race leader, Scott Hargrove, who turned a 1 minute 13.4 as against Fuentes' 13.6. And then Daniel Karwitz up into 3rd place, having made that pass from Vilander, has just turned a 1 minute 13.0. So that is the new fastest lap of the race. And that's almost pretty much matches the old track record that was set a couple of years ago, although that was bettered yesterday in race 1. So the new fastest race lap record here for this racetrack. Scott Hargrove, our race leader, a 1 minute 12.059, an average speed of 89.9 miles an hour.
And they did reconfigure the track this season from turn 3 yesterday, got rid of the bump, so it's a lot easier, especially on these GT3 machineries with the downforce they create through that turn 3 complex. One of the reasons we're seeing those faster lap times. I was speaking with a number of the drivers, and they said it's just a night and day difference coming through turn 3 with that bump. They ground it down on the trailing and leading edge of it and then moved the wall in a little bit. As Kylewicz going down to the inside of Murad, trying to make that move down to number 1, and Daniel gives way, lets the Corvette through, trying to see if he can do an over-under and stay right there with him.
Yeah, didn't have much choice there because the Corvette was significantly faster on the front straight and able to make the move down the inside. There's nowhere there for Daniel Murad to block that. So, again, a sensible driving from Murad to stuck into 3rd place. If I've got a 3rd place car here, having not tested at all during the winter, he'll be pleased with that, particularly having got a 3rd place yesterday as well. So if he can start off this season with a pair of podiums, he'll be absolutely thrilled. He and Nick Short, the team principal at CRP Racing, will be absolutely thrilled with that.
Well, Tony Vilander trying to see if he can recover from that earlier brushed up and down to turn number 1 where he went a little too deep. He's right on the back bumper of Murad, looking down on the inside here into turn number 10. Comes through there, accelerates here. A cool little chicane coming up to the right and then back to the left. You'll see that Mercedes. We saw it all day yesterday, just shooting sparks. There it was again. A little later in the afternoon yesterday, you're able to see the shadows and see those sparks. Take a good look here at Kylewicz making that pass on Murad down to the inside. Just a nice, perfectly good, clean pass. Daniel knew he gave it to him and let him go.
Yeah, absolutely right. Textbook pass that was by Daniel Kylewicz. That shows exactly how it should be done. Last time around, 1 minute 13.1, so only a tenth of a second slower than the fastest lap in the race so far, which he set a couple of laps ago. And he pulled about 3 or 4 tenths of a second on the leader, Scott Hargrove, that lap. The gap now between the first two is 2.1 seconds, or about, 50, 60 car lengths.
Good shot there, that R. Ferry Motorsports Ferrari of Alberta, Toronto. 488 GT3, Tony Vilander. Want to give our thoughts and prayers with Remo Ferri and his family as he's in Italy dealing with family problem and able to be here, the team owner at R. Ferry. But we're definitely thinking about you. Glad to make your return back into Pirelli World Challenge. And here comes our GT AM leader, Martin Fuentes, in that Hublot Ferrari. Another 488 GT3, and Martin just doing a superb job winning yesterday. Your 2016 Pirelli World Challenge champion from Mexico City, Mexico. That car was actually in Italy about 10 days ago, and it was testing at the Ferrari test track. They flew it out here to make this race. This is the car that he'll campaign 2 weeks, at Circuit of the Americas in the Sprint X. So full season return for Martin Fuentes in that Ferrari.
Yeah, great looking car there with the colours of the Mexican flag, green, white and red. Car looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it? And it's running very quickly as well, because yesterday during the race, Martin Fuentes, he won the AM category over Rodrigo Baptista and Yuki Hirata, but he also, his fastest lap of the race was actually quicker than the previous overall lap record here for GT cars. So a stout effort for Martin Fuentes, and he's backing up that up today with another very strong run.
Well, Yuki Hirata doing a good job staying away and out of the way of the leaders here. He let Daniel Kajowicz go on by. You see that Daniel Murad and Vilander haven't quite got on the back bumper of Yuki, but he'll be able to pull away out of this chicane and then into turn number 14 and give way to those leaders. And that young man doing a superb job. The Japanese driver, you mentioned before, downhill skier, one too many injuries, went through the Dream Racing Driver School in Las Vegas and really enjoyed it and liked it and said, hey, what else can we do? And decided to go pro racing, was our GT Cup champion last year in Pirelli World Challenge, moved up to the GTA category with the brand new Huracan GT3 through that team. And you want to be a pro racer, head over to Vegas, drive some exotic cars, go through the Dream Racing Driver School. You too can come out and run some Pirelli World Challenge races.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, for somebody who's done such little racing, just 1 year of experience in race cars, who was that brushing the wall? Was that Tony Vilander?
Oh, Vilander into the wall.
Vilander. Oh. And that corner turn 3, it's not flat out in these cars. And he's made heavy contact with that wall, a lot of damage to the left front on that Ferry Motorsport Ferrari. That is really unlike Vilander to make a mistake like that.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. And he got right to the end and the car just shot over the wall. So I wonder if he had a problem beforehand where something might have given away or might have broke and caused him to go into that wall, as we do go full course yellow now. Unfortunately on that straightaway there, and he's trying to get it moved, and there's no way that car is going anywhere. And wow, 2 years in a row the Ferrari has had problems here, and you can see there is the damage to the wall.
Yeah, and Tony Vilander, he's about the last guy I'd have expected to make a mistake like that. It's that corner turn 3, it's pretty tough in these cars. I was talking to Scott Hargrove about that earlier on today. Let's have a replay here, see if we can see what happened. He's following Daniel Murad, takes a tight line into turn 3, brushes the inside wall is what happened there. Yep. When he brushes the inside wall, it threw the car across the road and then made a heavy impact with the outside retaining wall. That's a big crash for Tony Vilander.
Yeah, you can see the dust come up from the right side, especially on that shot where he you hit that wall. Like you said, Jeremy, it just ricochets you straight back across into the next wall. So definite incident there for Tony Vilander, and just unfortunate. Just totally misjudged the distance there, made the wall, and second incident for that Ferrari here in 2 years. So they'll take that back up to Canada and hopefully get it fixed here in a couple of weeks. I know Enrico Donaio and his team trying to get that car repaired and fixed for Vilander. It's supposed to be a full season program for that team. So we'll hopefully see them in Sprint X in 2 weeks. Yeah,
that's certainly the plan. I saw those guys a little while ago. They were looking forward to a full season. That's why Vilander was pretty happy with his, he was content with his fourth place finish yesterday. He wasn't happy because he'd started right at the front and expected to stay there. But he finished second, I guess, yesterday, didn't he? So he was happy to come out of that first race with good points for that second place finish. And looking to score more consistent points again today, but it's not going to be. That's the end of Tony Vilander's day, and he'll be mad with himself for that one. But again, talking about that turn 3, talking with Scott Hargrove, has had a lot of success here in the open wheel cars, and in the open wheel cars, that corner is easily flat out. And Scott Hargrove, he's won races here in USF 2000 on his way to the championship, been on the podium in Pro Mazda, was on the podium also in Indy Lights race here just a couple of years ago. So a lot of success here, and getting used to driving this much heavier car, the Porsche for FAF Motorsports, on a track like this. Just takes a little bit of getting used to. And the other thing that takes a bit of getting used to is the fact that the driving position's on the left-hand side of the car rather than in the middle like a single-seat car. So you have to get used to giving more room to your right side than your left. It's easy to judge the width of the car on the left side because you're sitting right there, but it's more difficult to judge the right-hand side of the car. And that's really the problem that Tony Vilander had there in turn 3.
Or then if you're Alvaro Pereira Rodrigo Baptista, which the Bentleys are homologated as a right-hand drive car, then you have to judge all your distance on the left side. And with the experience that Alvaro Pereira globally running the Block Pain GT series, started off the McLaren factory driver, he said he's never driven a right-hand drive car before. So with the paddle shifters now, you don't really have to worry about your shifting hand and using the wrong hand or finding the wrong gear. It's more just your awareness, like you said, from a single-seater car to driving on the left, now to driving on the right, on where you're going to place your car. Once you being a professional like these guys are out here, I don't think there's going to have any problem doing that.
No, but it is a very good point, though, Jeff, isn't it? Because you're used to your situational awareness, if you like. If you're sitting on one side of the car, then if you all of a sudden move yourself to the other side of the car, the whole perspective changes on each of the corners here, particularly when you travel these sort of speeds. And it's very easy to make that misjudgment, particularly on kind of the quote-unquote far side of the car from where you're sitting, which is the case there for Tony Vielander.
I want to give a huge thank you to BMW and, of course, Classic BMW, providing our pace car here this weekend, leading the field. Go to their home race just in nearby Plano, Texas, based out there with their dealership. A strong contingent of cars in our GTS category earlier today, and then our touring cars. So I want to give you a huge thank you. Of course, our very own Dan Goodman piloting that car, and a good chance for us to kind of just go through and thank everybody that's part of the Pirelli World Challenge. And we could not be here, of course, without Pirelli. The Pirelli P0 race slick that all these cars are competing on here this weekend. This global GT tire now. Any GT series that runs Pirelli, they can accumulate all the data globally and still continually develop this tire. We see track record after track record set at each and every track. So I want to give a huge thank you to Pirelli. AFE Power, our official intake, exhaust, and air filter system of the Pirelli World Challenge. BRM Chronograph, the official chronograph of Pirelli World Challenge. All of our sportsman winners receiving their free BRM chronograph at the end of the race. CrowdStrike, a brand new company coming in as a series sponsor this year. Of course, George Kurtz competing in the GTS category, and it was our GTS A champion last year. His corporation there, our official cyber and security company of the Pirelli World Challenge. Ibach, the official suspension company of Pirelli World Challenge. Euro World Motorsports, and I got to give a good shout out to Frank Lee. I know he's with Bob Udell and Alec Udell. They're actually watching the stream right now. Big old watch party there in the Woodlands, Texas. So I know they're watching live right now. And Euro World coming on board as an official sponsor for Pirelli World Challenge. Brings your cars from the street to the track. Certified carbon repair facility in Houston, Texas. So good to check out Euro World Motorsports. Forgeline wheels, of course, Forgeline, the official wheel of the Pirelli World Challenge, and a lot of cars now running on those Forgeline wheels in our race series here. Optima Battery, long-time partner of the Pirelli World Challenge. Most of the cars throughout the field on Optima batteries, and of course, a sponsor of our Best Start of the Race Award. The driver that picks up the most starts on the first position wins a free Optima battery. And VP Racing Fuels, of course, VP Racing Fuels. All 40 cars here today running on VP Racing Fuel.
So still under caution here, just about halfway through, not quite halfway through this 50-minute race. There's still 27 minutes remaining. We've got the sweepers out here on the main straight to suck up some of the debris that inevitably gets thrown out onto the racetrack from these tires. And I think that's a really smart move. Take advantage of this full course caution to do a bit of track cleaning work, and then we can get back to green and have a good clean run to the finish of this race. So it's Scott Hargrove, who still leads, looking to make it an amazing debut for himself and the team in the Pirelli World Challenge. Won the race yesterday, having come back from an incident in the morning during qualifying when he hit the wall pretty substantially, just misjudged it going through turn 11, 12. There's a very fast chicane alongside the water before the final couple of corners. Did a lot of damage to that car, but he repaid, as he said, partially repaid the team by bringing home the victory yesterday, and he said the team will be happy with him again if he brings it home again to the top step of the podium today. So that's what he's planning to do. That's where he is at the moment. And Daniel Karlwitz, having made the mistake at the beginning of the race yesterday, came back through to finish in fourth place yesterday, and now is running in the second position. He, another guy making his debut in the Pirelli World Challenge yesterday. And not only that, this is his very first trip to America, let alone racing in North America before. He's never actually been to the States before. He's absolutely loving the experience here on the streets of St. Petersburg. So thanks to all the race fans here for making him so feel at home right away. He's absolutely loving the atmosphere about the races, the way the races are run, and he's just having an absolute blast out there. And it's great to see that Callaway Corvette here running for the first time in the Pirelli World Challenge as well.
It is. When you set the stage there, we're right about upper 60s right now, a nice little breeze. We're actually perched atop the main grandstand on pit lane. And this, the whole stands, it is still full here. We had the Rise IndyCar Series race a little bit earlier, and fans sticking around watching some Pirelli World Challenge action for the GT cars here on the streets of St. Petersburg. And this race just gets bigger and better all season long. Glad to have Pirelli World Challenge a part of it. In 2 weeks, we're at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Check out world-challenge.com. See if there's a race close by you to try and come out and check out the atmosphere of a Pirelli World Challenge event. As you see Yuki Hirata coming down onto pit lane now. Damage to that left rear wing from that earlier spin and contact with the wall. Looks like he's just going to bring it down here on pit lane, let the team look at it, make sure it's okay. Quite possibly change the back panels on that car. Not too much damage to it, but I think they just want to give it a look just to be safe, to make sure everything's okay. He's not going to lose anything, so he might as well go ahead and come on in.
Well, it might also be that he just wants to rejoin at the back of the field again, because he'd just been lapped by the leaders. Yeah, he's gone straight through. I think that's, again, a smart move by either he and or the team. Rather than restarting in the middle of the pack when he's already a lap behind everybody else, he's not going to make up that lap. He's not got enough experience or pace yet to be able to make that lap up. So rather than get in the way at the restart, drive through the pit lane, you can now rejoin at the tail of the field and then learn from the other guys ahead of him for the final half of this race. That's a smart move by team and driver.
Yeah, Alessandro Brisson on the radio with Yuki coaching him, and we'll see them two drive together at the Sprint X round in 2 weeks at Circuit of the Americas. So probably a good heads-up call by Alessandro to do that there in that Dream Racing team. Still got the double yellows out. We did see the car get moved back behind the wall for Tony Vilander. We'll see if we can get back underway here pretty quick or not. I'm still looking at the start-finish straight here and seeing the yellow flags out. Still got 23 minutes to go here in this race, so a little bit of action still to go as they go on the backside around the marina. The lights on the pace car are still on, so we still will do another lap here, but hopefully this will be the final lap to go. Looks like they're doing some wall repair, getting word from race control. As soon as they can get that fixed, we can get right back underway.
Yeah, it was a pretty stout hit there for Tony Vilander. I mean, just glance at the inside wall. It would appear to be, you know, pretty much a glancing blow, but at that sort of speed, you're probably doing, well, I don't know, 80 miles an hour, I would estimate, through that corner, and it just bounces off that inside wall and cannoned into the outside retaining wall really, really hard. That's a heavy impact, and it probably would have moved the barrier back a little bit on that side of the racetrack. So they want to get that shape again before we get back to green. Scott Hargrove leads the race then in car number 96, the Porsche 911 GT3R for Pfaff Motorsports. In second place, the Callaway Corvette, car number 26 of Daniel Karlwitz. Third place, the Mercedes AMG GT3 of Daniel Murd for CRP Racing, car number 2. Then the Porsche, second of the Porsches, Michael Christensen for Allegra Motorsports, car number 24. Then the Ferrari of Martin Fuentes, car number 07 in sixth place, leading the GTA category, ahead of car number 3, Rodrigo Baptista in the Bentley Continental GT3. And then two more pro drivers, Spencer Rapelli in the 00 Aston Martin V12 Vantage, and Alvaro Prent in the second of the K-Pax Flying Lizard Bentley, car number 9. The other car on the lead lap, Parker Chase in the True Speed Autosport Audi, car number 19. So those cars all on the lead lap when we get back to green. It looks like the lights were out, I believe, on the safety car.
Yeah, Scott Hargrove entering our VP fuel acceleration zone. Once he makes into that zone, it's his choice on when to go. We saw Lawson Aschenbach in our GTS races a little bit earlier today. Really played that to a T. It does not look like Daniel Karlwitz, though, wants to let him go as Scott Hargrove goes, and we are back under racing again. Green flag to restart. Pirelli World Challenge race number 2 for GT and GTA coming down here into turn number 1. We'll see. The guy that I really want to watch now is going to be Alvaro Prent in that Bentley. He's able to catch back up to the field. He knows his car is at least operable. Let's see if he can start making some moves, crawling back up through this field. Rodrigo Baptista was about a 6-second lead that Martin Fuentes had put over the Bentley driver second in our AM category, as more drivers starting to fan out a little bit. Oh no, damage there to Spencer Pompelli. It looks like he has, and that is damage because he's missing the rear wing I was going to say he has a flat tire. I'm sure he has a flat, but there's also damage there because that rear wing is gone off of that Aston Martin. You can see the white on the side of those Pirelli P0 tires where he has scraped the wall.
It's not been a weekend for TRG Aston Martin, hasn't it? Because that's twice now, 2 races, 2 incidents for Spencer Pirelli. There's Daniel Murray having to defend drastically going into turn 10 from the Porsche of Allegra Motorsports of Michael Christensen.
And you saw him, he defended to the inside, and then he stayed there. You're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do a move in response. If he would have went back to block, it's blocking. If the guy behind you snaps out and you move over, you moved in response. You're not allowed to do that as we have a full course yellow once again. And I got to believe this is for debris and trying to get Spencer Pompelli's credit. See if we can see here what happened. This comes through turn number 3. Got off in the gravel there and slid out and just pushed off into the side again. And yeah, you can see the rear wing, Yuki Hirata moving around it, and it's sitting out there in the middle of the track, and then he's off into the runoff area, and that's at the end of a pretty fast straightaway. So we're going to have to get that Aston Martin cleared off the track. But yeah, like you said, unfortunately, bad weekend for that 00.
Yeah, 2 of the most experienced drivers in the field, Tony Vielander and Spencer Pompelli, making mistakes like that in the same corner. That's really weird. He didn't glance the inside wall there, I don't believe, no. Spencer Pompelli in the Aston Martin. He just carried a bit too much speed with the tyres not yet back up to full operating temperatures or pressures, and because of that, there just isn't the grip that he was expecting that would have been built up over the next couple or 3 laps. So just pushing a little bit too hard too soon, and for somebody of Spencer's experience, that's really shocking. So more damage there to that Aston. Those guys have worked so hard overnight to repair that car and get it on the grid for today's race. Unfortunately, it's another early bath for them. Well, it won't be an early bath because that car will be stuck out in the track and it'll be a while before you can get it back to the garage area.
Want to remind everyone that we have our expanded coverage on CBS Sportsnet. You can watch this race next weekend of March 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. So go ahead and tune in for that. Set your DVRs or your watch parties. Like getting a lot of tweets and Facebook messages and text messages from people all over the country now watching and letting us know they're watching live at world-challenge.com. You can search the App Store for Pirelli World Challenge. Have a new app for the series as well. A lot of cool things all happening. Remember, if you have a ticket or a pass to any Pirelli World Challenge race, our paddock is fully open. Come meet all the stars and cars of the Pirelli World Challenge. Had a great autograph session yesterday at 1 p.m. All kinds of people. We actually had to shut the line down because we had too many people there, and we can't let our drivers sit there for too long. They did have a race they had to do tomorrow afternoon, so that was pretty neat to see all the great fans here at St. Petersburg and all the tracks that we go to. Just really, these are the cars that you see in the parking lots, the cars you see in magazines. You might have posters hanging them on the wall. I always say the cars that people drive or wish they could drive, like myself, sitting out here on the track right now.
Yeah, and the Twitter handle has changed, hasn't it, for the series?
At WC Racing.
Oh,
follow us along at Triller, and then you can go to Facebook and you can search Pirelli World Challenge Championships.
I tried to use that the other day and it didn't work. Okay, fine.
At WC Racing on Twitter. We're also on Instagram, Pirelli WC, if you want to follow us along there. A lot of great ways to reach out through social media, the live stream, and, of course, CBS Sports Network for our TV coverage. All of our broadcasts here this season for our GT, GTS, and then our touring car categories that you will see debut at Circuit of the Americas in 2 more weeks. Looks like the lights are off on the pace car again. Quick cleanup. Good job by this crews here at St. Petersburg, and we're able to get back underway. Scott Hargrove entering our VP Fuel Acceleration Zone once again, waiting for that green flag. Daniel Kajowicz right on his back bumper. Does not want to let him go again, and he does not do it. Tucks right in on that back bumper. Daniel Murad going to see if he can protect against Michael Christensen as they go green again. Back to 6th place, or up to 6th place now. It is Alvaro Perret. As you see Hargrove protect down to the inside into turn number 1.
Whoops, and then actually runs a little bit deep into the corner as well, but looks like he's going to be able just about to maintain that advantage, but he is under intense pressure now from Kajowicz. Can Kajowicz get a run out of turn 3 and make a move to the inside in turn 4? He's looking to do that.
Well, he's got Daniel Murad looking to the inside, too. Side by side, it is Hargrove, and that's going to hold up Murad. He had to check up big time not to get in the back of the Callaway. Michael Christensen checking up as well as they come down through turn number 5, back through 6, and onto the little short straightaway into turn number 7.
And that was heads-up driving from Hargrove. He knew he was under attack there, and he left a little bit of room on the apex of the corner just in case Karwitz was thinking about making a dive down to the inside. Left him room to do that, was able to carry that momentum around the outside, and Karwitz had to kind of jam on the brakes to avoid making that contact. Smart move by both of them, live to fight another day, but that was a much better restart this time around for Daniel Karwitz, so he's clearly learning very quickly.
And you can really see the gap that all that caused for Hargrove, able to pull out in that Pfaff Automotive Castrol Porsche 911 GT3R. It's the Callaway Corvette in second, Mercedes in third, Porsche in fourth. So Porsche first and fourth right now, followed by Ferrari and then Bentley.
So just under 15 minutes remaining in this 50-minute race. The order remains unchanged. At the front, Scott Hargrove leading from Daniel Karwitz, Daniel Murad, Michael Christensen, Martin Fuentes, and Alvaro Parent, the former series champion, but driving now for a Bentley rather than McLaren, with which he won that championship 2 years ago. It's now Scott Hargrove having settled that car down. It does take a lap or two to get these Pirelli tyres fully up to operating temperatures after a restart, after they've slowed down. Tyre pressures are absolutely critical. Today's race, conditions are a lot warmer than yesterday. In fact, in yesterday's race, there was some sprinkling of rain before the start. We saw some of the teams electing to start on scrubbed tyres rather than new tyres, and altering the tyre pressures as well to cope with those slightly cooler conditions yesterday. So today, particularly for the teams that don't have as much experience around here, a little bit of a guessing game. What sort of tyre pressures do they want to start out the race? And that affects how the cars handle how the bounce is for the restarts as well. So there's a lot of strategy to be played out there by the teams and the drivers. And the drivers have got to be careful and make sure they don't make any early mistakes. Wait till those tires are fully up to temperature and pressure, then they can push hard.
Heard from Ryan Marine down on pit lane, spoke with Spencer Pompelli. The team told him that he thought he had a tire going down, so not sure if that was a cause of that issue or not. And then he spoke with Tony Vilander, said he was trying to anticipate getting around Murad and just didn't believe how much aero wash was coming off the back of that Mercedes, and he said he just completely misjudged it, made that mistake there, turned it in a little bit too deep, and unfortunately got in the wall. So pure mistake by Tony Vilander, and then he owns up to it. What a great professional driver Tony Vilander is.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. He's been around this sport a long time, Tony. 37 years of age now, from Kankaanpää in Finland. Been a factory driver for a long time. That's a big accident.
Oh, that is the Bentley of Alvaro Parent. Wow, that's huge incident there. And you got to think that perhaps that's in a braking zone there. Looks like he went straight on, too. Wow, that's a huge impact with the incident and the problem of him not having the repair on that car. Possibly something failed or had a problem. He's right over here on the backside by the marina on the shore. And you see him getting out of that Bentley. Just a miserable weekend for Alvaro Parent. And the good news is he's crawling out of his own power. He's stretching, making sure he's okay. Looks like he hurting a little bit there. And man, Alvaro, just one of the really nice guys in the paddock area. And it looks like, I'm sure he got his bell rung and the wind knocked out of him, trying to walk it off a little bit there. But like I said, good to see him walking around. He'll have to get tested by our medical crew and our safety crew. Hopefully he is okay there, sitting down over on the side, and we'll get right to him and get some help for him. But yeah, it looks like a huge incident from that Bentley over there, getting that done. And geez, you talk about the section there. I think that's the second longest straightaway on this track, next to the third longest straightaway on this track. And that looks like a
second, probably. I mean, you've got the kink in turn 9, which is, I think, in these cars is flat out. So it's a long run from 8, or from 9, I should say, to 10, carrying a lot of speed down there, and it certainly looks, it would appear that he had some sort of a braking difficulty there, and the car's just gone straight on and up onto the top of the tyre barriers. That's going to take a while to get that car off there, and it's certainly good to see Alvaro get out of that car.
It is. They're going to red flag the race and get the cars down here on pit lane. Try to see if we can get that car off the wall. Let's take a quick look here and see what we see here as he comes down in out of the kink. Oh, yeah, Jeremy, just no brakes whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just went straight on in, and what a, just a.
Doesn't that tell you what a great job.
Look at that. Oh,
yeah, man, the speed
just
there.
A miserable feeling, too, as a driver having a brake problem and a brake failure. Happened to me in September at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course there for the runoffs, and I just, no brakes, 140 miles an hour through turn one. Thank God there wasn't a wall there, but for Alvaro Print, nothing he can do, just straight on. And, your past champion here in Pirelli World Challenge. We saw him get out under his own power, but set down over against the wall. So they got the crane coming out there to see if we can get that car removed. And thoughts and wishes are with Alvaro right now and that team. And like I said, it was good to see him stand up and walk away. You could tell he was not happy, but at least he was walking. Yeah, that's right. That's a big impact there. And again, a testament, I think, here to the safety facilities here on this temporary street circuit in St. Petersburg, because there's 4 or 5 layers of tires there, and they certainly absorb a goodly amount of the impact, and then more absorption as the car kind of goes up in the air, and it stays within the confines of the racetrack. And when the car's doing probably, 125 or 30 miles an hour, I would expect, going into that corner, no retardation at all, I would suspect. I think he probably threw it against the wall on the right-hand side of the racetrack to scrub off a little bit of speed, but barely. He'll have been hammering it down through the gears as well. But it's a really, really scary moment, that, because there's no warning. You get on the brakes as usual, nobody's home, and you just go straight on there. And it is one of the most scary things you can have in a racing car. I've had that a couple of times as well, and it is not a lot of fun. And I certainly haven't had one in a car this sort of velocity either. So that would have been terrifying. Yeah, saw Bob Thompson there, our Pirelli World Challenge safety crew, right on scene. Want to give a huge thank you to Tracy Sanderson, Jason Maraca. They're all in the safety truck and right on the scene there to attend. They have a complete medical record and history of all of our drivers, so they're able to know if there was anything previous. Of course, Dr. Preston Calvert, that we saw competing earlier in our GTS category, has just made a new concussion protocol for all the drivers. They get tested on a series of numbers that you have to read out, and it's 3 different tests. You get timed on it, and it sort of sets a baseline so that when you go back and if you have an incident like this, you get tested again to make sure and see some signs of concussions or any brain injuries. So a good day, and thank you for Preston Calvert really volunteering his time and efforts to make that happen, to make Pirelli World Challenge what it is. We can see there goes Martin Fuentes, and you'll see just in the bottom of your screen, Alvaro Parent, that Bentley going straight in. And like you said, Alvaro Parent trying his hardest, turning the car at a little bit of an angle away. Man, that's such a hard hit. And it is a red flag, 10.5 minutes to go. The clock does stop. If there is a chance for time in the schedule, we might be able to get back underway here. We'll have to wait and get a word from the officials. We have 2 more support races coming up after this session, and it is going to be a checkered flag on the session, so the race will be over. Not the circumstances that anybody wants to finish a race under, but got to err on the side of caution and safety here. Just a little too much to get that car repaired and back underway, or to get the fence and the wall repaired to get back underway. Well, I'm going to head down to Victory Circle. It's going to be a somber celebration, I'm sure, for a lot of our teams. Not the way you wanted to end the race here, but Jeremy Shaw will let you finish it up here in our worldwide audience at world-challenge.com. And we'll all see everybody again here 2 weeks at Circuit of the Americas. Sounds good, Jeff. Thank you. And, wow, that's not the way we want to finish these races, that's for sure. It's 2 red flag stoppages slightly early, but take nothing away here from Scott Hargrove, who's driven another exemplary race again today, as he did yesterday. Talked about it a little earlier on, had an instant big crash yesterday morning, did a lot of damage to the front end of that Pfaff Motorsports Porsche. The team worked flat out for 4.5 hours yesterday to repair that car. They got it literally finished less than 10 minutes before the cars had to come across the track to get ready for the start yesterday. Repaid the team with the victory, and today, from the pole position,
was absolutely flawless. Took the lead at the start, was never headed, and another lights to fact victory effectively for Scott Hargrove, the youngster from Tuason in British Columbia, Canada, just 23 years of age. Yeah, what a debut for him in the Pirelli World Challenge. 2 race victories, and for that Pfaff Castrol team as well. Brilliant performance by everybody involved there. And in second place then it would be Daniel Karlwitz today for the Callaway competition team. Really good performance by him also. His very first race and very first visit to North America, comes away with a podium today to go along with another strong run yesterday. But it'll be Parker, it'll be the Scott Hargrove and Pfaff team that has maximum points heading from here to the next round of the Pirelli World Challenge. That is at Circuit of the Americas in 2 weeks' time. And on from there they go to Long Beach for the next sprint race. That'll be in April, part of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, once again in conjunction with the Verizon IndyCar Series. So if you're out on the West Coast, don't miss that. That's going to be a lot of fun there. It always is around the streets of Long Beach. But in third place, rounding out the podium, Daniel Murad, to build upon his second place finish yesterday for CRP Racing in the Mercedes AMG GT3. And in fourth place, Michael Christensen for the Tampa-based Allegra Motorsports team, another Porsche. So Porsche's first and fourth. Martin Fuentes comes home in fifth position and wins the GTA class for the Ferrari team. That is Squadra Corsa Garage Italia, a Ferrari 488 GT3 car. And again, a double victory in GTA for Martin Fuentes, coming back after a year out. He won the GTA Championship 2 years ago, and certainly getting his campaign off for 2018 on the perfect beginning. 2 victories, 2 races. Here again is confirmation then of the top 10. Scott Hargrove, Daniel Karlwitz, Daniel Murad, Michael Christensen, Martin Fuentes, Rodrigo Baptista, the teammate to Alvaro Parente, had that huge crash just moments ago to bring out the red flag. In car number 3, finishes second in GTA and 6th overall. Parker Chase in a true speed Audi finishes 6th and completes the podium in the GTA class. Alvaro Parente classified in 8th ahead of Yuki Hirata, and Spencer Pompelli rounds out the field along with the car that didn't get any further than that, than the first few laps of the race. Tony V. Lander classified in last place. Hopefully that our Ferry team can get that car ready again to go racing in a couple of weeks' time. So that was a bit more excitement than we needed here, I think, for the Pirelli World Challenge. But hats off to Scott Hargrove and that Pfaff Motorsports team coming all the way down from Canada. A triumphant start to their campaign in 2018. Jeff Lepper will be down in victory lane in a few moments' time. Still got 2 more races here. Let's not forget this afternoon, the 2 lower rungs on the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. It'll be the Pro Mazda Championship drivers out first, followed by the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship powered by Mazda to round out the proceedings today. So it's a full day's activity, isn't it, here on the streets, and plenty of exciting races, and 2 more races in store for us this afternoon. So thanks for joining us for the final activity of the day for the Pirelli World Challenge. My name is Jeremy Shaw. Jeff Lepper will be down in victory lane again in just a few moments. And for aficionados of the Pirelli World Challenge, we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at Circuit of the Americas.